The Sorting Hat was lounging on Hermione's bed, smoking a pipe and wearing red hat-sized pajamas. His penis dangled above the tip of his hat. Ron and Harry tried not to vomit, as within moments Hermione laid the hat down on the bed and began writing it, her eyes blank as her moans permeated the room. Harry and Ron rushed from the room, not caring if the door mysteriously swung open. Ron could barely keep up with Harry as they rounded 2 hallways before stopping and slid from the door. Horror was etched in his face. Ron was trying not to vomit. "Hermione's sleeping with the Sorting Hat?" Ron asked in disbelief. No, she hates that hat. She never would do anything like this. Something must be wrong. Her eyes look blank and lifeless. She must be under the Imperius curse, or something," Harry said sadly. "What do we do?" Ron asked tearfully. "We'll have to tell Dumbledore." Yes, I know all about the Sorting Hat's control over Hermione." Dumbledore chomped on jelly beans as he spoke, some spilling from his mouth and getting stuck in his beard. "You do?" Ron's mouth gaped open. "Of course, the hat has been getting harder and harder to manage." Dumbledore paused. His eyes took on a serious glint as he leaned forward. "I'm going to tell you boys a secret. The Sorting Hat..." Dumbledore?" Harry asked. "Blimey, he's fallen asleep," Ron said, surprised. "Dumbledore? Dumbledore!" Harry shook the old headmaster. "Huh? What?" Dumbledore snapped. "The Sorting Hat, remember?" "Oh, yes, Dumbledore snapped impatiently. "Let me tell you boys a secret." He leaned in once more. "The Sorting Hat isn't what he appears to be. He once was a wizard, but a curse turned him into a hat, and so he has remained for the last 2,000 years. 2,000 years? Harry said, shocked. "Yes, Harry. You may remember him from stories long ago. This is why I cannot hope to challenge him on the matter of your friend. He was once known as Merlin." "What? You've got to be kidding," Ron interjected. "His magic is old and ancient. Were I to intervene on Hermione's behalf, he could destroy me and the entire school with a murmur of a word." "Well, that's it then, isn't it?" Ron said hopelessly. "Ron, I can't believe you. There has to be a way, Headmaster. Isn't there something we can do? Anything?" Harry pleaded. Ron interrupted. "Wait, does that mean Merlin's a dirty old git?" "There may be a way," Dumbledore spoke gravely. "If Hermione was given great sexual pleasure from someone other than the Hat, his control over her might be lifted." "Well, I'll volunteer for that," chirped Ron. Dumbledore eyed him with disdain. "I've heard of your reputation as a lover, Mr. Weasley. No, that won't do. It has to be someone more skillful." "What about you, Dumbledore?" Harry asked. "They say the older you are, the more experience you have in these matters." "Well, my dear boy, I do have an insatiable appetite." Ron groaned inward at this confession. "However," Dumbledore continued, "I'm afraid it has to be someone with more stamina." There was a knock on the door. "Ah, perfect timing. Enter," Dumbledore commanded. Professor Snape strode into the room. "You wanted to see me, Dumbledore," he spoke coolly. "You can't be serious!" Harry nearly jumped from his chair. "Oh, but I am. This is the only way to save Hermione. I am familiar with Snape's love-making skills and can vouch for him." Harry felt his lunch coming up, and again he tried to keep it down. "Headmaster, there has to be another way." "I'm afraid not, Harry," Dumbledore spoke calmly. "Snape may be the only one who can break through the Hat's spell." "My sexual skills are more than adequate for any witch or wizard," Snape said confidently. "Very good, Snape," Dumbledore said. "I'll brief you on the situation. Meanwhile, Harry, Ron, I will need you to distract the Hat while Snape pleasures her." "Why don't we just cast a spell again?" Ron asked furiously. "We need to distract the Hat with a willing partner, one whom he doesn't need magic to control. He will eventually give up on Hermione and will at some point grow tired of his new love interest. This is usually how things go with him. Afterward, I will try to keep the Hat in my cupboard where he belongs. It is the best I can do." Ron wondered aloud, "But are we going to have sex with a Hat?" Harry sat for a moment deep in thought. "What about Ginny? She's done almost everyone in the school. I mean, I don't think she'd mind." "That's my sister you're talking about." Ron stood up angrily. "Ginny seems like the best choice," Dumbledore said cheerfully, nonplussed by Ron's reaction. "I'll talk to the girl. You two set up a meeting between them. The Hat may act stupid, but he's smarter than he seems. You'll need to be subtle in your actions." While he is distracted, Snape will bed Hermione. "You can count on us, Dumbledore!" Harry sighed. It seemed, after all, to be the only way. Ron's face was red with anger as he stormed out with Harry behind him. Later... "Hey, Sorting Hat!" Ron yelled at the Hat, who was lounging in Hermione's dorm. Hermione was still in class. The Hat eyed Ron suspiciously. "What do you want, Weasley?" This girl has a crush on you, and she's kind of shy, so, well, she told me and Harry to come up and ask you to meet with her." "What girl?" the Hat snapped. Harry stepped forward. "She doesn't want us to tell you, but you'll like her. She's got more, experience than Hermione, that's for sure." Ron glared at Harry. The Hat eyed the two boys. "All right, I'll go with you, but if you two are up to something, you'll regret it." The Hat bounced out of the room, following Harry and Ron, until he reached the library. There, in a quiet corner, sat Ginny. "There she is, mate." Harry patted the Hat in camaraderie. "She's not that hot," the Hat grumbled. "She makes up for it in other ways," Harry assured him. Harry and Ron watched Ginny and the Hat chatting. She reached underneath the Hat's rim and grabbed his penis. The Hat smiled, for the first part of their plan seemed to be going well. Hermione returned to her dormitory. She wondered why the Hat was not there. She'd started looking under the bed when a voice from behind her startled her. "Hermione," Snape purred. "Professor Snape, what are you doing here?" "You've been put under a spell, Hermione. I have come to break you free of it." Hermione seemed confused. Thinking seemed to be such a hard thing to do lately. "What do you mean?" "I've come to share my love-making skills with you. I'm afraid it's the only way to free you. The Hat has placed you under a spell." Hermione backed away. "What? No, it's not true. Stay away from me." Snape knew part of the curse was making her act irrationally. "McGonagall already fluffed me up, so I'm ready to go." Snape dropped his pants, exposing his 11-inch penis. Hermione stared at it in surprise. Severus cast a spell, removing Hermione's clothes. He gently pushed her down on the bed. "Lay down, Hermione. You will soon feel the pleasure of Snape's snake." Snape began sucking on Hermione's boob like a calf sucking on a cow's udder. He slid his hand expertly down to her pot of honey and stroked it. He moved his lips and bit small marks on her like someone eating a bag of potato chips. Hermione moaned like the ghost in a graveyard. "You ready to ride the Snape Express?" Snape said silkily. Hermione nodded, and Snape entered her like the plow to the earth. Hermione screamed in ecstasy, her cries as loud as a whistling teapot. Snape began pumping into her wildly as if he were digging for oil. Her pussy was as soft and wet as gillyweed. Snape smelled like the lacewing and snout gills he used in his potions. Hermione's face contorted in pleasure like a clown at a birthday party as he continued his ministrations. The potions master was giving her more pleasure than Hermione had ever experienced. Her eyes became clear as she orgasmed, and with enough liquid to fill a pensieve. Snape groaned as he finished, shooting into her like a muggle water gun. "What happened?" Hermione moved from underneath Snape. "Apparently I've broken the control the Hat had over you," Snape said arrogantly. Meanwhile, the Hat was enjoying Ginny's sexual favors. He finished and lit a cigar. "Look, babe, this was great, but I'm not the commitment type of Hat. Besides, I'm seeing Hermione." "What do you need her for?" Ginny spoke suggestively. She leaned down to give the Hat head. Dumbledore, Harry, and Ron sat in Dumbledore's office. "Well, it seems everything's worked out for the best." Dumbledore was once again eating jelly beans. "Yeah, everyone's gotten a little shagged but me," Ron said selfishly. Dumbledore looked at Ron, considering. "Harry, why don't you leave me and Ron alone for a minute?" Harry, confused, walked out of the office. He stood by the door listening and heard a heavy panting. "Well, I guess everyone's been shagged now but me." Snape leaned against the wall. "Potter, come to the dungeons for detention." Harry smiled, a little skip as he followed the potions master, a little skip in his step. The end. Try to sleep now.